Hello everybody, my name is Star Wars Boy, how are you? And welcome to a brand new Star Wars Battlefront 2 video. In this video we are going to be doing another hero guide, and this time it will be on Rey. Now I've done a couple hero guides in the past, including one reinforcement guide, but now I'm gonna continue my hero guides and start off with Rey, followed by Kylo tomorrow. Without further ado, let's get started. Now moving on to her base stats, she has a base health of 750, which is the equal to most saber heroes in the game, and she has a health regain of 250, meaning she can go all the way down to 550 and still regain all that health. Her weapon is of course Luke Skywalker or Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber, but it does change depending on the appearance you use. The damage per hit is 120 in the front and 140 in the back, which does make sense considering she did not get a lot of training. Her stamina I would classify as a 5 out of 10. It's not the best, but it's certainly not bad. Her swing speed is on the higher end though at 1.8 swings per second to make up for that low damage. Now moving on to some of Rey's abilities, her first L1 ability is called Dash Strike and has a really quick 10-second cooldown. Rey charges forward with her lightsaber and basically deals damage to enemies that she touches. The damage is 130, meaning that she can't even one-hit a single class. However, this is not a problem considering that this ability is just meant to charge up for her main attack. The pros of this ability, it takes enemies off their feet and closes down the objective. This ability does actually knock enemies off their feet, including saber heroes, so it is good to get out of sticky situations. As for the cons, it can easily be blocked by sabers, and it's still affected by most abilities. She will get caught in a stun or a choke if she does use this ability, so it doesn't prevent her from abilities. Now moving on to her R1 ability, it is called Mind Trick and has a 20-second cooldown. Rey causes nearby enemies to be dazed and confused for a brief duration, inverting their controls and slowing down their sensitivity. The duration is 4 seconds, which is honestly pretty good for something like this, and I'm pretty sure there is a star card that can extend the time. As for the pros, it inverts controls and lowers sensitivity, basically means it's impossible for you to get chased down by someone. The only real damage you can take is by abilities or blaster characters. As for the cons, it does have a slow animation and you actually do not block during the animation, meaning even if you hold down the block while pressing the button, it still renders you completely useless. Now her final L1 R1 ability is called Insight and has a really fast 10-second cooldown. Rey basically reveals all nearby enemies to her while she disappears from the radars. Her stamina costs are half and her damage is increased while this ability is active. The duration is 8 seconds, which is honestly really good for this ability. The pros of this, it reveals enemies, it makes you off the map and does extra damage. One thing I left out is that it actually reveals enemies to your teammates as well, meaning not only will you get a lot of kills, but so will your teammates. As for the cons, I can safely say that there is nothing bad about this ability. It has a really quick time, and it's basically a really good ability to have. Wall hacks are always effective. Now moving on to Rey's star cards, these are 3 star cards that I tend to use on a daily basis, and if you don't use these cards, that's alright. However, again, these are cards that I always use and I would recommend that they are good. The first card is called Survivor and it has damage reduction for Rey's Dash Strike. The damage reduction goes from 25% to 40% with a maxed out star card. The next card is called Focus Sight and it actually does add time to Rey's Insight. The card goes from 2 seconds all the way to 7 seconds, making this ability even better. Now, the third card may be a bit controversial, but it is called the Balance Star card, which basically adds a dash to Rey, but at a cost of increased stamina drain. Now, the stamina drain goes from 30% to 15%, which is barely noticeable. The reason I use this star card is because I tend to run into a lot of heroes and villains on the battlefield, so I have this extra dash just to make sure I can get away. With that Mind Trick, it's really helpful and it does come in clutch at a lot of times. Now moving on to some of her maps, and again, these are not the best maps, the only good maps for her, but these are maps that I personally always do good on Rey with. The first one is Naboo. It's obviously very close quarter, and that insight is amazing. It's not too spread apart that the enemies can just be anywhere, but it's not too close compact like other maps. The second map would be the Death Star 2. Again, there are very small hallways, but then there are big open rooms that are amazing for multi-kills with the Dash Strike. Her insight excels on Naboo and the Death Star 2. Now, for her third map, I honestly just chose Takodana, not because it's a good map, but because I always for some reason do good with Rey on this map. It is very close quarters in the final phase, and even in the second phase, it does bring a bit of variety to the gameplay. It's very open, yet there are a lot of rocks anywhere that limit you where you can actually go. Again, this map isn't very good, but playing as Rey on it does make you have a lot more fun. Now, moving on to some tips and tricks with Rey, and the first one I'd give is to attack after your dash strike is done. So by this, I mean canceling the dash strike by hitting the attack button right after the enemy gets hit by a dash. You'll deal the double damage by the dash and your attack, and it'll be really effective. The second tip is honestly to flank whenever you can. Most enemies don't even look at the minimap anyway, but with that insight, you actually get completely removed from the minimap entirely, which means it's going to be really easy to go behind enemy lines. Not only that, but your lightsaber damage in the front isn't that great either. It can one hit in the back, but is certainly an upgrade. The next tip I would say is to use Rey's Mind Trick whenever you're having a problem with a villain. Now, I've run into villains countless times while getting footage for this video, and they all seem pretty sweaty and they're thirsty for kills. Now, a good way to make them back off is to just use Rey's Mind Trick and get out of there as quickly as possible. With Rey's Mind Trick, they don't stand a chance, and especially if teammates are around you, they'll flee right after, considering their health will be bye-bye. Again, these are some tips that hopefully will help you get higher kill streaks and basically play better with Rey. So that is going to be it for this video, guys. Like I said in the beginning, I will be commencing my hero guide project again, and I'll be doing hero guides on every single character in the game. Tomorrow we're going to be going over Kylo Ren, Rey's counterpart, and we're going to be looking at his stats and his star cards. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. See you guys next time. Bye, and may the Force be with you always.